The 2026 Ford Maverick was supposed to continue one of the biggest success stories in the modern truck market. When the Maverick first arrived, buyers rushed toward it because it finally delivered something the industry had ignored for years: a compact pickup that was affordable, fuel-efficient, practical, and easy to live with every single day. At a time when trucks kept growing larger, heavier, and more expensive, the Maverick felt like a reset button for the entire segment. Demand exploded almost immediately. Ford could barely keep up with orders. For many buyers, the Maverick represented the perfect balance between truck utility and everyday usability. It appealed to people who never considered owning a truck before: young buyers, city drivers, commuters, hybrid shoppers, and budget-conscious families all suddenly had a pickup that made sense. But now, concerns surrounding the 2026 Maverick are starting to grow, and they go far beyond a single isolated recall or a few unhappy owners online. The deeper you look into recent recall activity, owner complaints, software updates, supplier issues, and manufacturing concerns, the more one uncomfortable question begins to emerge. Is Ford quietly struggling with larger quality control problems while trying to keep the Maverick's reputation intact? The concern is not necessarily that the Maverick is a bad truck. In many ways, it still remains one of the smartest vehicles in its category. The bigger issue is whether Ford pushed production and development too aggressively in order to capitalize on the truck's massive popularity. One of the clearest warning signs is the growing list of recalls connected to recent Maverick models. A single recall is not unusual in today's automotive industry. Nearly every automaker deals with defects, software fixes, and supplier problems at some point. But when recalls begin appearing across multiple unrelated systems, buyers start paying much closer attention. Recent reports tied to 2025 and 2026 Maverick models have included concerns involving dashboard components, moonroof adhesion, software communication failures, trailer lighting systems, and hybrid electronic behavior. One particularly alarming issue involved improperly welded dashboard components that could potentially detach during airbag deployment in a crash. That is not a minor cosmetic defect. That becomes a legitimate safety concern. Ford reportedly traced the problem back to supplier manufacturing issues at the Hermosillo assembly facility in Mexico, where the Maverick is produced. And while supplier-related problems can happen to any manufacturer, repeated issues connected to assembly quality often raise larger concerns about production oversight and quality consistency. Another recall involved moonroof glass panels that could potentially detach from the vehicle because of improper bonding and adhesion during manufacturing. Again, this is not simply a software bug or an infotainment glitch. When structural components risk separating from the vehicle itself, buyers naturally begin questioning the strength of quality control procedures behind the scenes. Then there's the broader trailer module software recall affecting millions of Ford vehicles, including the Maverick. That issue reportedly created problems involving trailer brake lights and signal operation. Individually, each recall may appear manageable. Together, they paint a much more concerning picture. The pattern suggests Ford may be relying heavily on post-sale fixes, software patches, and recall campaigns rather than fully resolving problems before vehicles reach customers. And that leads directly into another growing concern surrounding the Maverick: Ford's increasing dependence on software. Modern vehicles are essentially computers on wheels. Every automaker now relies on complicated electronic systems, sensors, modules, and software management. But many analysts believe Ford has become especially dependent on over-the-air updates to correct issues after delivery. On paper, OTA updates sound extremely convenient. Manufacturers market them as a modern advantage. Problems can supposedly be fixed quickly without major dealership visits. But there's another side to that story. Sometimes constant software updates become evidence that systems were not fully refined before launch. The Maverick Hybrid especially depends on complex software coordination because the truck constantly balances gasoline power, electric motor assistance, regenerative braking, battery management, and energy distribution in real time. That level of complexity creates enormous engineering challenges. Owner discussions on enthusiast forums have increasingly focused on strange hybrid system behavior, inconsistent parking brake logic, confusing software updates, and unexpected electronic quirks connected to recent recalls. Some owners report inconsistent parking brake activation depending on incline angle or driving conditions. Others describe confusion involving updated hybrid procedures after software patches were installed. Not every complaint represents a catastrophic failure, but the pattern suggests Ford may still be refining important systems long after trucks are already sitting in customer driveways. That trend is becoming increasingly common across the automotive industry. Many experts believe automakers are prioritizing launch schedules, production targets, and software-based fixes instead of conducting longer real-world validation testing before release. The Maverick may simply be one of the most visible examples of that growing industry-wide problem. The hybrid system itself could eventually become the truck's greatest strength and its greatest weakness at the same time. There's no question the Maverick Hybrid delivers impressive fuel economy. In many driving situations, owners report efficiency numbers that feel closer to compact sedans than traditional pickups. That efficiency helped define the Maverick's identity. But hybrid systems also introduce far more complexity than traditional gas-powered trucks. You now have a gasoline engine, electric, motors, battery cooling systems, regenerative braking hardware, electronic power management modules, sophisticated software integration, and multiple layers of electrical communication networks, all working together constantly. When everything functions correctly, the system feels seamless. But when quality inconsistencies begin appearing across multiple vehicle systems, buyers naturally start wondering how these trucks will perform long-term after years of wear and higher mileage. Some industry observers believe Ford's aggressive expansion into hybrid truck production may be placing additional strain on suppliers, assembly operations, and software development teams. That does not automatically mean the Maverick Hybrid will become unreliable over time, but it absolutely increases concern about unexpected ownership headaches later in the vehicle's lifespan. And this is where the situation becomes especially important for Ford. The Maverick is not just another truck in Ford's lineup. Strategically, it may be one of the company's most important vehicles. The truck attracts younger buyers, first-time truck owners, urban drivers, and hybrid adopters who may never have previously considered entering the Ford ecosystem. For many customers, the Maverick becomes their introduction to the Ford brand. If those buyers begin associating Ford with recalls, software frustrations, and quality inconsistencies, the long-term damage to consumer trust could become significant. That creates a powerful incentive for Ford to manage problems carefully and quietly. Automakers rarely announce that deeper. Quality control concerns may exist. Instead, issues are typically handled through technical service bulletins, software updates, dealership fixes, supplier corrections, and targeted recalls spread over time. To be fair, this approach is not unique to Ford. Nearly every major manufacturer attempts to minimize negative headlines whenever possible. But the frequency of Maverick-related, concerns is beginning to attract more attention within the automotive community, and many analysts believe cost-cutting pressures may sit at the center of the problem. The Maverick became successful partly because it delivered truck utility at a lower price point than traditional mid-size and full-size pickups, but maintaining relatively affordable pricing while also adding hybrid technology, modern safety systems, digital displays, advanced driver assistance features, and updated styling forces manufacturers to save money somewhere else. Industry experts often point toward supplier sourcing, material selection, assembly tolerances, software testing timelines, and manufacturing efficiency targets as common areas where cost pressures begin appearing. The dashboard recall tied directly back to supplier production problems involving welding and adhesion quality. That matters because supplier-related defects can sometimes indicate broader strain throughout the manufacturing chain. If suppliers are struggling to maintain consistency under aggressive production demands, additional issues may emerge later as vehicles accumulate mileage and age. This becomes even more important because many Maverick buyers plan to keep their trucks for years. Unlike luxury lease customers who rotate vehicles every few years, compact truck buyers often purchase vehicles for long-term ownership. Many Maverick owners expect to drive these trucks for a decade or more. That means long-term durability matters enormously. Another uncomfortable reality for Ford is that the Maverick's original affordability advantage is slowly shrinking. When the truck first launched, its low starting price shocked the market. But newer trim levels, optional packages, dealer markups, rising material costs, and price increases have pushed many Maverick configurations much higher than buyers initially expected. A heavily equipped Maverick can now approach the pricing territory of some mid-sized trucks, and that creates a dangerous mismatch. As prices rise, customer expectations rise with them. Buyers become far less forgiving about recalls, software issues, interior quality problems, and dealership visits when they feel they are paying premium-level prices. People may tolerate occasional flaws on an inexpensive entry-level truck. They become much more critical once pricing starts climbing toward larger, more established competitors. Automotive analysts have also begun paying closer attention to Ford's broader recall history across multiple product lines. The Maverick is not isolated from that larger trend. Ford has faced increasing criticism in recent years regarding overall recall volume and quality consistency across several vehicles, and in today's internet-driven market, reputation spreads extremely fast. A few viral owner experiences online can influence public perception more quickly than traditional automotive reviews ever could. Enthusiast forums, social media groups, and owner communities are already filled with discussions about software behavior, recall confusion, hybrid quirks, dealership frustrations, and manufacturing inconsistencies. That does not mean every Maverick owner is unhappy. Far from it. Many owners absolutely love their trucks and continue praising the Maverick's practicality, fuel economy, and daily usability. But perception matters tremendously in the automotive industry. And once buyers begin questioning reliability, rebuilding confidence becomes very difficult. Even seemingly minor interior quality issues can have a larger psychological impact than people realize. Some buyers dismiss dashboard or trim recalls as insignificant cosmetic defects. But visible interior problems often create immediate concerns about overall manufacturing standards. If buyers notice inconsistent fitment, loose components, poor adhesion, or assembly defects in the parts they can easily see, they naturally start wondering about the components they cannot inspect. That loss of confidence can happen very quickly. The moonroof recall especially raised concerns because it involved structural bonding and adhesive integrity. When components risk physically separating from the vehicle, buyers begin questioning whether quality oversight is being stretched too thin. Despite all these concerns, it is important to remain realistic and balanced. The Maverick still has major strengths. It continues delivering excellent fuel economy, smart interior packaging, easy maneuverability, strong urban practicality, competitive towing capability, and lower ownership costs compared to many full-size trucks. That combination remains extremely attractive in today's market. The real issue is not whether the Maverick is secretly a terrible vehicle. The real issue is whether Ford may be relying too heavily on software patches, recalls, and post-sale corrections to maintain the truck's reputation, while production pressures continue increasing behind the scenes. There is a major difference between occasional defects and a pattern that suggests rushed validation and manufacturing strain. So should buyers avoid the 2026 Ford Maverick entirely? Not necessarily. For buyers who want an efficient, compact pickup with modern technology, strong fuel economy, excellent daily drivability, and practical versatility, the Maverick still makes a compelling case. But buyers should absolutely approach ownership with realistic expectations. The growing recall activity suggests the Maverick may require more patience, more software updates, and potentially more dealership interaction than Ford's marketing might imply. Anyone considering a 2026 Maverick should carefully research active recalls, verify VIN, specific service history, confirm software update status, thoroughly test all electronic systems, and pay close attention to emerging owner feedback online. That becomes especially important for hybrid trims with greater electronic complexity. Ultimately, Ford's biggest risk may not be one specific defect or recall. The larger danger is erosion of consumer trust. The Maverick became successful because buyers believed Ford had finally delivered a practical, affordable truck without major compromises. If customers begin feeling like they are serving as beta testers for unfinished systems, that trust can disappear extremely quickly. And in today's competitive market, trust matters more than ever. The compact truck segment is becoming increasingly crowded, and competitors are watching Ford closely. If rival manufacturers introduce alternatives with stronger reliability reputations and fewer quality concerns, Maverick loyalty could weaken much faster than Ford expects. The 2026 Ford Maverick still has enormous potential. In many ways, it remains one of the smartest and most useful modern trucks available today. But the growing collection of recalls, software patches, manufacturing concerns, supplier issues, and owner frustrations suggests there may be deeper quality control challenges developing beneath the surface. Ford will probably never describe the situation that way publicly. Automakers rarely do. Instead, problems tend to be addressed gradually, one recall at a time, one software update at a time, and one technical bulletin at a time. But when you step back and examine the full picture, it becomes harder to ignore the possibility that the Maverick's explosive success may have pushed Ford's production systems and validation processes faster than the company could comfortably manage. That does not mean every 2026 Maverick will become problematic, but it does mean buyers should pay closer attention than ever before signing the paperwork.